So guys, I know it's everyone's favorite time for me to post my tier list on YouTube, right? Because everyone loves my tier list. When I post my tweets on my tier list, look at all these quote tweets. All these quote tweets, I'm sure, are loving this list, and there's no reason to go through them and point out most people going like, damn, Dabuz, this list sucks, because it doesn't happen. You know, it's time to explain my list a little bit and why I view things the way I do. And the ordering matters, but unless you're looking at something like the end of a list versus like the start of the list of an area of the tier list, it doesn't really matter too much. With that said, I'm not gonna spend too much time explaining characters, like Ultimate's done being patched, right? And for the most part, I think anyone watching these videos knows how characters work. Like, I don't have to explain, you know, what Ganondorf does and what his weaknesses are. So I'm probably gonna just be quick with this, and if I think the results are relevant to reference, I will. I'm gonna be using Bernard Loops, Orion Sats TTS. I'll post links for both the guys' Twitter and this in the description below. This is pretty good. It just has the general results of like different characters throughout the past year of Ultimate offline. Even though I might talk about results more than the actual characters themselves, it doesn't mean they're more valuable. It's just, once again, there's not much new to talk about the characters. It's a nice reference point to use as an example of my thoughts, even if, you know, the results aren't as static as, oh, this character is number one, therefore they are the best because they have the best results. You know, we're people. You know, characters can be popular or unpopular for various reasons, unrelated to their strength. So, moving on. Ganondorf. I don't have to explain it. The Ganondorf's literally made as like a joke character by the devs. At this point, this is obvious. The devs gave a character lots of power and said, if you read people, they will die. We even have a move built into the kit that says, hey, you grab someone and you have like a good chance to read them and murder their face. He is a great party character. He's a great elite Smash character too, and I think that's part of the reason the devs don't buff him, because he's already like good in Elite Smash. So like he has to be a bad character for high level play, or he'd be everywhere. Moving on, and then Isabelle. It's Isabelle. The devs kept trying to make her work, but they didn't know what they were doing. They just tried kind of buffing a lot of the random things and said, this will work out right. And I feel like Isabelle's a character that a lot of people play her and Villager because they're similar enough for sure that you can like play both of them if you play one of them. So I feel like her results probably get buffed a little bit by people playing both Villager and Isabelle, regardless of which one they mean. But yeah, no. I will say, you know, these two characters, you can still do well with the characters here. It's a modern fighting game, so it's just how good are the characters relative to each other and to the broken shit. And every character has some broken stuff in this game, right? So you can do well with these characters. It just means you're putting in more work. Mac is funny. He was arguably the worst character in the game, and then he got buffed. I think the most recent patch buffed him. Actually, let me double check. No, I'm wrong. It was the patch before where he got buffed. But anyway, I'll have this up for your reference. Yeah, buffs helping out a bit. Still not getting your results, but he's one of those characters that, since he's so polarizing in his strengths on the ground, and like even playstyle wise, some people just don't want to camp him out as much as they should. So he's really good for certain types of players and characters. So you can get a bracket where it's like, alright, this is fine. And he's scary to fight. Like, Ganondorf is scary too, but it's more scary for Ganondorf than like the person fighting him. Mac, it is that way as well, but sometimes he has KO Punch and you're a character that like actually has to interact with him, and it's like, damn. Alright, Midnight. Another character where it's like kind of not functional. They did buff him recently, you know, he does hit you and do good damage sometimes, but his trouble has always been hitting people, really. And yeah, a character that can't hit people and is super lightweight just isn't that good. And I don't know if any player does well with him besides Ye, I think, from like South America. And even then, Ye can play like a lot of characters and do equally as well. So that's just more Ye being a good player. Alright, Meanswordy. Funny enough, Meanswordy actually does very well versus Olimar and Rosa, my two mains. With that said, the character is like so focused on zoning you out, and outside of really annoying zoning tools, the character really isn't that good. And people don't really play him either. Online might run into some Meanswordy spam projectiles, it's annoying, and then you go offline and it's like they don't exist. And the ones that do, it's like, oh, I just beat you. Bad character. So yeah, not much to say about them. I remember Brawl playing when this character came out. I was like, oh, this character's so fun to play. I love playing her. And then, you know, I played it for like 4 hours and I was like, yo, this character's garbage. Wow, they released this kind of dookie character? What's going on? Then I was like, you know what? Smash from Mewtwo is garbage on release, and then they buffed him a lot. They got buffed Prime Play at some point, right? They gotta make her good. They buffed her. Characters who are very setup based in Ultimate without tools to compensate, like for matchups where they can't set up freely, struggle a lot. Basically, in this game, you need to be like kind of two archetypes generally to be a good character. Like, you need to be able to like zone and space, setup and pressure. Like, Prime Plan is just like, I'm gonna set up, and you could argue, you know, block blast, like let's trap pressure mix-ups, but nothing pretty good. Just linear, like one-dimensional characters. Alright, Kirby. It's freaking Kirby. Character is like kind of popular for how bad he is, but really you just don't engage the character. I will say this is one of those characters that like if you don't understand how to play super lane, or if you're playing a character without projectiles, character's actually kind of annoying, but no, character doesn't work versus the majority of the cast if the person plays him right. Now Ridley's an interesting character because results-wise, Ridley's actually not the worst, but Ridley's one of those characters that like is really solid at like low and mid levels of play actually, because heavyweight characters in general tend to be very good at like lower and mid levels of play because they punish mistakes really hard and they're generally afforded more mistakes than average, and Ridley falls into that category for sure. With that said, he's one of those characters that either he's playing the game and you're not, or he's not playing the game and you are. But being a big character with not the best neutral means more often than not versus good players, he's not playing the game. Yes, I think he kind of is a character that like can get out of pools pretty reliably, maybe even upset a decent player every now and then. When he gets to like PR players in like better states, this character doesn't really do much. Doc's actually interesting because I think the character has like decent results as well. Quite decent actually considering where he is in the list. And the character occasionally causes upsets. And then I watch people fight the character and I'm like, oh, this person does know how to play a matchup correctly. Like, he's not a good character, but you have to respect his really good tools. The results show, though, that might be underrating him, to be honest. But, I think it's kind of like the Ridley situation, where know the matchup, be a better player, it's whatever. Bowser Jr. I know people always go, Bowser Jr., Dabuz, he's so much better than you give him credit for, and it's like, sure, maybe, but I don't see it. It's like, there's actually a decent amount of Bowser Jr. players, because he's a super fun character, in my opinion. He has a lot of tools, and a lot of things that should be cool, but it never has anything substantial. And outside the occasional like low tier upset, I don't think the character does much. Corrin. Corrin's a character that should be really good actually, I feel like. Like the character, you know, decent sword hitboxes, everywhere, decent combos. But you're just too slow. Too slow, and in a game where there's just faster sorties with just as much, if not more range. So it's like, even if the character may arguably be an own merits, like around, say, mid-tier, it's like no one's really playing her because why play her when other characters exist? So I kind of just default to her as like a low tier and say, yeah, she's never getting results. I know Shattuck in Texas does well with her. I remember fighting him at Riptide, not knowing the matchup at all, going Min Min and just destroying him. Keep in mind, pretty nerfed Min Min. But I was like, oh, if you just kind of know to not interact with the character, really not good character, and people aren't replaying the character for a reason. Lucas is one of those characters that every Lucas main goes, Dabuz. How do you think this character is low tier? He's at least high tier, not top tier. And I'm like, crazy. Y'all are crazy. This character has so many weaknesses. Oh, I don't think this character's results are even good either. No, actually, character's results are much better than I give him credit for. That's fine. With that said, I look at this character and I go, he's so rare. And I feel like he has some exploitable weaknesses. Like he gets pressured easily, not the best hitboxes, really linear camping game overall, and like lots of like things where if you know the matchup, he's pretty easy to fight. But I think he's one of those characters that kind of feels well-rounded and has a functional game plan. So especially if you don't know like his major weaknesses of like being bad versus pressure, iffy hitboxes, kind of slow on the ground, you know, he's fast in the air but he's kind of floaty. If you don't know how to avoid like his ledge trap stuff and his edge guard stuff, and you don't know how to edge guard him, like there's a lot of things you have to know about him. He's a matchup check character for sure. But I think when you know that, he's like not that great. He has tools, he has his ultimate character, but I don't know. I see him and I just go, man, he's disappointing. But that can be biased because I like playing him a lot. And whenever I play him, I'm just like, I'm working harder than my opponent to win. I feel like he's more effort than a lot of these characters down here for his reward. Alright, DK. Bad character, it's Donkey Kong, but he's a heavyweight and ultimate. He's also fast. He's a fast heavyweight. He has a good grab game, of course, that's what he does. He has like combos in the grab, like down tilt can combo in the grab now, especially after the down tilt buff. He like actually has a lot of good stuff. He just kind of is big body in ultimate, and that just stinks. He's one of those characters I think that honestly could get decent results if the right people played him. I think he's a bit underrated, to be honest, but underrated in like the sense that like he does well enough versus like a lot of mid tier and below, even some like the lower high tiers maybe. But then you fight like the good characters and he just is not a character anymore. Lucario. There's actually a Lucario player named Vivi in my region of New York, and he's very good, very good. And I play him quite a bit. He's PR, I think he's like top 10 PR right now, like 6 or 7, I forget. And the thing is, when I play as Lucario, I always feel like, damn, this guy is working really hard to try and get anything going. Like, this is one of those characters where I feel like, you know, he's supposed to live long and hit people with stray hits and kill them with aura, but he just doesn't have a good enough moveset or anything to get those stray hits. Like even with aura, like even when he has aura, I'm not really afraid of him because I'm like, I just out-neutral you. And I think results wise, he's really bad. To be fair, if he doesn't travel to events, I think if he traveled to big events, he do decent at them. I'm glad he's bad, and I think the devs knew he should be bad because he's such an unfun character to fight if he's even decent. But man, dude, I just feel like playing Lucario's playing this game on hard mode and almost everything. Puff. Honestly, if base mage wasn't randomly beating good players, like he's a really good player, right? And he's showing that Puff's ridiculous airspeed is kind of like not all you need to be a good character, but having ridiculous airspeed and having like 0 deaths with like forward throw into edge guards, down air into rest, and just other combos that can be really devastating while being really hard to hit, and having pretty solid frame data on the aerials, like you can make this work. The character's results I think are dead outside of base mage, but all it takes is one player to showcase a character is not bottom 3, and that's kind of what's going on here. And then Villager. Villager, similar to Isabel, was just kind of a bad character in this game. Has a more functional like game plan, like there's clearly a playstyle and stuff in mind for the character. That is nice. I'm not sure of the results. I think the character's results are just a bit better than Isabel's. Yeah, like 62 in results as opposed to Isabel 71. Once again, you know, people kind of play both of them a lot of times. But really, a character that doesn't fit into Ultimate. Like this character actually feels like he should be good, but I feel like the Ultimate plays is just too many mashing sorties that run fast and don't let like Villager set up. And Villager has tools to keep people away in setup with the Lloyd Rocket. Even though Lloyd Rocket setup isn't that rewarding because you can just punch through it. And honestly, I don't know why I put the character over here. I should be putting the character like here. The character doesn't really feel like just good. The character's been buffed a little bit throughout Ultimate and it just hasn't been any like substantial buffs. And that is the low tier part of the list, where every character kind of stinks. And next one will be mid tier.